Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis came away with a 151 to 148 win. For the Phoenix Suns, this puts them in a terrible, terrible position because they're now out of the play-in positions. They're now 11th, two and a
Mm.
half games behind the 10 seed with the highest payroll in the entire NBA. No future draft picks or very limited future draft picks coming in. And, last time was a game where Bol got 31 minutes in the game. He scored 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. You're getting those kind of contributions with Bol in the starting lineup. But it's another game where Booker, Beal, and Durant combine for over 75 points and they lose. And it's great that you have these three guys who can score so much. KD had 26, Booker had 28, Beal had 24. But with those three guys, defensively in the backcourt, you just don't have enough to win games in the NBA. I think they're tinkering with the lineups now. They're putting Beal in at the starting point guard spot. They had Tyus Jones coming off the bench for just 12 minutes. They're just in an impossible position. For the Grizzlies, it was great to see Ja Morant hit that clutch shot that ultimately gave them the win. He's having a few better performances as of late. We kind of spoke about this. Me and BJ spoke about this on the show. I don't know if you were there, but he struggled a little bit this season. But
Mm-hmm.
for the Phoenix Suns, Scott, what do you do if you're the Phoenix Suns? Because all signs are pointing to Kevin Durant being moved this summer.
Boy, if you're Phoenix Mo and you wake up this morning, you're looking at all kind of negatives. Like you said, they're out of even the play-in. They're sitting in the 11th seed right now. Very bad place to be. On top of that, highest payroll in the league. Worst place to be. And not and when you're not in contention. When you have if you have the highest payroll in the league, your expectation is that you're going to be in the top two or three at worst in your conference,
Winning the
at the very
chip,
worst.
winning
And,
the
yeah,
chip.
and competing for a championship. That's what I'm getting. And that was my next line to that.
My bad, my bad.
So yeah, no, that's good. No, that's fine. But so you're looking at now, obviously you're still hoping that, okay, we can turn this around in the last, 25 games that may be left. But you have to be really realistic, Mo, and understand, okay, how are we going to tear this thing down and really start over and build this thing up again? Because the way things were handled with Durant at the trade deadline, that did not leave the best of feelings in the room and the environment for Kevin Durant and probably for his teammates as well too, because they respect Kevin. They know what Kevin has done with his career. So for that to have come out during that time, that was not good for team morale or Kevin Durant's morale either. So you're dealing with that. So you got to really be looking now as the season is going on. Okay, who do we try to go after? Kevin Durant is their most attractive trade person or trade chip, if you will, if you're not going to go move on from Devin Booker. What you got to worry about too, though, is Devin Booker's going through all this too as well. Does Devin Booker all of a sudden wake up one day toward the end of the season if things get so bad and say, you know what, this may not be best for me either? I don't think he's got to that place yet. He's come to that place yet, but you never know. So I just you look at a team and an organization right now that has a tremendous amount of work to do in retooling, not re just really reshaping, reforming, changing a lot of how you're going about your business because to this point, let's just be frank, it has not worked. And you got to be honest with yourself that it hasn't worked.
The Suns have not beaten an opponent over 500 since January the 31st. So the whole
Oh,
month of
mhm,
February. Since
mhm.
then, they're 0-5 against teams over 500 and they're 2-9 overall. And do you want to know the worst part about that, Scott? They have 24 games left,
Okay.
and 19 of those games are against teams that are above 500.
Oh,
So you're 2.5 games out of the 10th seed, and now almost all of your games, let's say you win the 5 games against teams that are below 500, you then have
okay.
19 games to beat playoff teams in the NBA.
Mo, and I got to give our guy Bart a shout out and give him a project here. I'd like to find out if there's been a team with the loftiest payroll, the highest payroll in the league, not make even the play-in tournament if that would happen? Is that going to be a first? I can't just as I sit here, can't think of that situation. Maybe it has happened, but if it has, it is not a regular occurrence, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think the only way that would have possibly happened would be if they had a season where everyone was injured for the entire season.
Season, exactly.
That's the only
Yeah.
way that I can,
Hmm.
off the top of my head, I cannot think of a year in which the highest paid team did not even make the playoffs
Playoffs,
or the
yes.
play in
You
at
play,
least.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, because
Like
you go before the play-in even started, the playoffs, we should say, because we shouldn't even be talking about the play-in tournament with the loftiest payroll, the highest
yeah,
payroll in town league. With that, the play-in shouldn't even be in discussion.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And their payroll for next season as well is second in the league, second
Yes,
to the Boston Celtics, who already have a championship. So
yes.
we're gonna have to do some research. We're gonna have to get in the lab and all of that. But like the worst part is, I'm hearing from a lot of the Phoenix Suns fans that there's a lot of tension even between Booker and Durant, which is not great.
Oh
The good
wow.
news for you and BJ is Booker is a big Lions fan. He's from Detroit, right? Or he
Yeah,
lived there for a while.
yeah. I believe his dad was originally from Grand Rapids, Michigan, if I'm
Yeah.
not
So
mistaken.
if
Yeah.
I'm Devin
He
Booker and
spent some time in Michigan. Yeah, Devin did spend some time in Michigan. Yes, he did.
I'm looking at the Detroit Pistons and I'm thinking, well, you guys are on the up and up. They're on a 7 game win streak. They're playing the champs tonight. Cade's establishing him as that point guard there. We got Tyus Jones coming off the bench, but we don't even have a point guard. The Pistons are winning without Jaden Ivey. If there was a way for me to get myself traded to Detroit, the Suns would be pretty happy with getting someone like Jaden Ivey in return. I think that's something that I'd be looking at. But my question is, if you were the Detroit Pistons, would you trade for a player like Devin Booker, or would you continue to grow this organically?
Like you've heard me say often, Mo, you got to study it. Now, I'm not there to know all the personalities on the Pistons team, and I believe strongly this year you're going to get a chance to see them play in playoff basketball, which is key and important, so that you can make a final determination on such a deal like this, or deciding if you want to go all in to get him based on what your performance looks like in the playoff. But as I sit here and I think about it again, excluding just what I just was said, to think about a backcourt, if you could somehow put together a backcourt of Cade Cunningham and Devin Booker, just think about the size, the shooting, and the playmaking ability amongst between those two guys. The Pistons become extremely formidable in that Eastern Conference. And so that's why I'd say to you, you've got to study the rest of your journey, evaluate the rest of your journey and what your team looks like in the playoffs. And that usually gives you a very good indication just, what we're missing, what we're good at, what we're strong at, what the guys on the roster will continue to grow into and get better at, and what we may need to add. And boy, when you talk about a Devin Booker, Cade Cunningham backcourt, uh, that would be a really good backcourt to see in Detroit. And you got to remember, when we're talking about the Detroit Pistons and the great teams of the Detroit Pistons history, you first start with the original Bad Boys, Hall of Fame backcourt, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and the best third guard off the bench in Vinnie Johnson. They won with guards. Fast forward to the group that I work with, the backcourt, Chauncey Billups, who just goes into the Hall of Fame. Rip Hamilton hopefully gets his shot to go into the Hall of Fame. Good size as a backcourt, could both score. And they were drivers of that team. Obviously, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and the rest of it, and Tayshaun Prince were hugely important. But again, very good guard play. Now to have a backcourt of those two, Cade Cunningham and Devin Booker, Pistons may
Hmm.
be on to something. So